faith, believe in your source, have faith.
Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of trailblazers who shape our world. Our co-host Lulu Benavidez is a seasoned entrepreneur in the beauty industry, is a photographer, artist, and the proud owner of Lulu's The Salon in Galveston, Texas. Our other co-host, Krokonis Hanson, is a visionary in the entrepreneurial world with years of experience in business innovation and development. Together, they bring you insights, inspiration, and the journeys of remarkable individuals who have made their mark. And with that, let's get started. George Alderetti is a master hair colorist, award-winning global hair color educator, and sought-after celebrity colorist. As the global creative color ambassador for Kuhn Hair Cosmetics North America, he pushes the boundaries of creativity and education, shaping the future of hair color. His editorial and television work has been featured in Vogue, Self, Marie Claire, In Style, and on The Tyra Banks Show, solidifying his reputation as a top-tier artist. Known for his signature approach to multi-dimensional color, George makes advanced techniques accessible and engaging. His hands-on interactive teaching style inspires stylists to elevate their craft and refine their artistry behind the chair. A NAHA winner, 5-time finalist, and Bang Style Supreme Artist of the Year, George is recognized as one of the world's leading hair colorists. A favorite on the global stage, he frequently appears as a guest artist and educator, sharing his expertise with stylists worldwide. As a member of Beauty Underground, he embraces creative freedom, constantly redefining modern hair color trends. Today, we're excited to have him on the podcast to share his journey, insights, and expert techniques. Please welcome George Alderetti.
Welcome, George. On behalf of my co-host, Krokonis Hanson, and myself, we welcome you to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with both of you.
Well, George, we don't really know you personally, but we've seen so much of your work out there on Instagram and Facebook and at shows. And you have an incredible career. And from working behind the chair to now what's your new title? Global
Creative Ambassador. Yes. For Kuhn. Yep.
Yeah, for Kuhn. And so you have been doing hair color for Kuhn for a very, very, very long time. So can you tell us about what has that moment shaped your whole world?
It's a big moment because, I was with another manufacturer for many, many years, 20, and I had been using that color and everything that I knew in my life, in my career, I knew from that brand. So when this was introduced to me, it was in a bag and I was in a salon. They dropped it off and they asked me to try it. And once I did that and tried it, that was it. I really was more curious about what it was. I had never seen anything like it. I was just used to the same old, kind of static, if you will. And so I had this new opportunity and I came down to Atlanta and visited the Kuhn Academy. And then I signed up and that's been 13 years now.
Has it been that long?
It's gone so fast.
Yeah. Wow.
But I do like the South. It's very, very sweet and Southern and I just love it.
So where did you come from?
I originally was born and raised in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
And then I had my 2 salons there, one in San Marino, one in West Covina. Okay. And then once we moved on from that, I went into more advanced education and academy education and then global education and then just started to, I don't know, I think I just got a new shot in the arm. I was very fortunate, and I'm very fortunate right now to get this position in the time of my career when most of us right now are retiring.
You're right.
Really? Yeah.
Like, what is being?
Well, what is that?
Yeah.
And
I'm
so
blessed.
you moved from the West Coast to the South.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's quite different, isn't it?
Oh, bless your heart. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Because, Sue and I have been fortunate to travel all over the world and to see different parts of the country. So, yes. California is quite different than the South, and the South is quite different than people in the East Coast. So.
Even the state above?
Yes.
The state beside it are more Southern sometimes.
Exactly.
Atlanta is a very different market than the rest of the state.
Yes, but you have some of the best hairdressers here in Atlanta.
That's what I'm saying. Atlanta is a
wonderful
kamikaze of great hairdressers and
Shaw. I mean, the list is on and on and on.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to be here because now I feel kind of that family circle. here in Atlanta, and that's really nice. And they were very, very inviting and accepting.
Yeah. That's well, that's part of the Southern hospitality after all.
Sure is.
Yeah. So, I'm very curious because as with most of us, you start as a stylist, you build into being a salon owner, multi-salon owner. Of course, it's fueled by education. So the education path opens up, and then you go from being national to globally. And certainly you've done all those things. But you've also really cut your teeth in television work, in Vogue, Marie Claire, a lot of names that our listeners who aren't hairdressers would resonate with them. And of course, Naha, which is the pinnacle of achievement. Here you are, 5-time finalist, no small feat for anyone. And yet I'm curious because to be a good educator, you need that. You always have to take it back to the salon level. How do you take all of that experience and blend it with working in a salon and in educating stylists who spend 99% of their time working on clients? Because technical and creative and people skills, what's your secret? How'd that work for you?
Well, my daddy taught me a long time that I was born head first and bare butt. Just, I'm not going to take the way he said it.
Yeah.
And I think that's allowed me to be really relative to anyone. You're new in the industry or whether you're established in the industry, male, female, it doesn't really matter. I just have this great opportunity by joining this community of people that I can meet and talk to different people. And that excites me.
Yeah.
And I was joking one time and I said, I'll go to the opening of an envelope.
Yes.
Because I always tell everybody, you just got to be present and be there.
Yeah.
And once you do that, it's just going to come so organically, you won't even believe it. So, I've had a lot of spokes, if you will, like editorial work, magazine work, Naha work, competition work, which is completely different. Salon, working in a beautiful salon in Tennessee for the Frank Ambuza and Belinda.
Yeah, oh, sure, of course.
And that's when I got introduced to here because I was just upstate.
Yeah.
So, it's Coiffure, just so many opportunities and friends that have just welcomed me and invite me in. And I think that'll happen to anyone as long as you keep an open heart and an open mind.
So your approach to multi-dimensional color, can we talk more about the technical side of this? Your hair placement color, what you do. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Sure.
Okay.
As a colorist, I specialized in color in my salons and then in my professional in other salons. I always was just a colorist, and I moved from cutting. You can be doing everything you want, cutting, color, finishing, but you have to hone in on what is your expertise. I loved cutting. I enjoyed it, but I loved the formulation of color and the chemistry, and that motivated me to learn more and more and more. And then that was just my wheelhouse. That's what I love doing. So it was easier for me to move into a colors direction. So with that, what happened was I was teamed up with some of the most amazing people in the industry. Sam Villa, Chris Barron, Philip Wilson, Mary Wilson, Gerard Hair. Everybody. Yeah. Andy. Jesse Marshall. So many people. What influenced me the most about my color application were the designers that I would work with. So traditionally, colorists apply color in one pattern, straight, all the way, square. I say it's square on round. Why are we putting a square on a round shape? So when I started to work with fundamentals or principles of haircutting, I realized no one's teaching fundamentals of color. It's teaching, yes, dimensional color, but directional dimensional color. There's the importance, because that'll allow you to create more visual texture with your color. In other words, we may not have thinning shears or blending shears, but we do have a stitch that we use. Depending on how broad or how narrow in between that stitch is going to determine the visual result. Right?
Right.
So with that, that's my approach. I approach everything like I'm coloring the cut. Where's it going to fall? And there's a term that I use, and I'll get back to you, Sue. It's like, you have to work in the round, meaning you're going to work with the form, the natural form, and the natural fall of the haircut. So that's working in the round to me. So once I started doing that and figuring out, and it just comes to you at the weirdest moments. For me, it was in my kitchen, doing a mannequin.
Yeah.
So it just came to me, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to explore this more. I think people really don't focus on the fundamental in color. We do in formulation and all of that, grams, ounces, whatever, but we don't really in the application. Many variables in cutting, so there should be in color as well.
I'm a firm believer that some of the greatest inventions in the beauty industry have happened in the kitchen. Well, probably after 10 o'clock at night. I cannot tell you how many people say, well, I was, Sharon Blaine. Okay, of course you were.
That's the story.
Do tell.
I dropped all my pins. We were in New York, Nico Rojo's place. I dropped all my pins. It was the first segment that were just going to teach us braids.
Yeah.
So we had 4 sections. I turned around, got my 4 sections, turned around to get my pins, and I dropped.
Yeah.
And I go down on the floor, and I'm like, okay, don't be nervous. Okay, here it comes. And my pins, I'm picking them up. By the time I got up and I looked around the room, everybody had completed the task. So she said something to me that I'll never forget. She goes, you know what? You have a lot of tenacity. You're a colorist, and you're coming in here to dress hair a lot. So I'm going to sit here and help you with some more and give you some insight on what I can help you. And it did. And it was an amazing week. So
that's what makes a good educator.
Yeah. And so I felt like in the competition work that I'm in, I needed to get back to my grassroots of styling and dressing.
Yeah.
Because when I became a colorist, I kind of handed it off, and that's it. The finishing wasn't there as much. The styling wasn't there as much because it's color. And I felt if I want to do it, I want it the way I want it, I got to learn how to do it.
Yeah. That's fabulous. So much of what you're talking about and the people you're talking about just remind me that so much of success in this industry is who you associate with. And, maybe you're already the best in your salon or one of the top in your city, but that's when you need to push yourself to get out of your comfort zone and go to educations where you not only meet these fabulous educators who, for the most part, are very down-to-earth, sharing, caring people, but the other people you meet in class. And that passion and your inspiration, your love of the industry, and, just listening to you talk about it, it's so apparent that that's
true,
part of your...
Sharon Blaine, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm this far in my career, and I'm going to a class.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sitting there, and I meet these 2 great girls, and guess what? They were on my team.
Yeah.
And we got nominated with that because they flew down from New York to Atlanta, and we just worked together, and I showed them everything, the vision boards.
Cool.
They were just so naturally talented. I saw it in them. I'm like, I could really work with you. And I really want to learn and work with you. And so it happens that way. It's just organic.
Yeah.
Natural.
Well, and that just makes me, I was going to ask you about, where your freedom and influence in your work comes from and what does that mean to you? But really, you just summed it all up in what you're saying. You've done it, you've surrounded yourself, you apply it. And I love that even though you think of yourself as a colorist, you're looking at the total design, the line, the color, the texture, the finish, what is it going to look
wardrobe, makeup,
all of it. I mean, it's, you have to have the vision. You're not going to get to where you want if you don't know where you want to get. And I love that you've done that.
Thank you. It's been a great journey, let me tell you. But my very first photo shoot, you're not going to believe who it was with. It was with Ginger Boyle.
Oh my God.
Ginger.
Ginger Boyle. She did my very first photo shoot. We were on Melrose, and what's the name of the salon? Doyle Wilson.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I remember that.
Go with it.
She did this, helped me with this pin set, and I did it. And when I look at those pictures today, they're timeless.
Yeah, of course.
And when I look at it, I just remember the coaching I got from Ginger. And
fabulous.
So I got set to a really quick path.
Right. Yeah.
It just, I don't know. I just looked for it.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, is that most successful educators, like Sue said, surrounds themselves with people that know more than they know. And that's how you learn. It's a proven fact that you've learned so much along the way. And now you are teaching, you know, you look at a haircut, how it's done, and you do the color based on the haircut. So you're not doing a square, you know, individual shape. You're doing, you know, the head is round. So you're putting your placement of color based on that haircut. And I think it's fabulous.
Absolutely, because everything is there. The fall and, you know, what sections are, how thick you're going to take them. And what you leave out of the foil is just as important as what you put into it.
Exactly.
Right.
Wow.
Once you show all of those things to people, they kind of get it. And then it's like, foiling for you will be so much easier, and the time will be spent much more effectively by just understanding that. And then once you get your fundamentals and your principles, you have those rules, now you just bend them a little bit and maybe discover something else.
Well, to me, it's also not every client who comes in from a foil wants to go out looking like the foil before her and the foil after her. Everybody has very specific wants and needs and looks and whatever. And if you're just like, you know, drag it back there, Blanche, we're going to throw some foils in. Well, then that's what your income is going to be like. But if you're, get her done. But if, you know, you're going to take the time to really look at her and make suggestions and talk to her like the professional you are, and it's reflected in your work, then the sky's your limit. That's, you know, but it takes that desire to constantly be learning and improving. Some of the best designers, Lulu, I've known Lulu almost all of our lives, you know, inner coiffure, photo contests. She's still going to classes on a regular basis. And a lot of people that I know who are at what people would say top of their games are like that, because they want it, you know, you want to push yourself. You want to learn the new trick. You want to think of things differently than you did last week. And I see that in you, George. Pretty cool. I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. It's just my passion. I love doing it, and I love people. And I like to help people to self-discover. When that light goes on above their head and they just get it, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
That makes my day. That makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
The flying, the traveling, the packing, the unpacking, the getting in the hotel, you know, having that door shut behind you at the hotels are the most loneliest times.
Or eating by yourself.
Or eating by yourself. Or not having anywhere to go to eat. You're in the middle.
Right. Because you got there so late.
So you eat the junk that's in the shop.
Airport.
Not discounting the 8 hours you spend in the airport when your flight is canceled.
All of those things, it's worthwhile when you see the smile.
Right. Well, at least you're in a good location in Atlanta, because you can get just about anywhere from Atlanta.
Yeah, it's really easy to get anywhere from here.
Right.
So it's pretty central.
Yeah.
Well, can you tell us a little bit more about what Naha is and how many awards you have won? You won, what, 5?
Well, I've been lucky to be a finalist 5 times, a recipient 1 time with some of the best hairdressers from Lisa Vaughn, Charlie Price, Jill Lights, Ruth Roche. I mean, it's everybody volunteering, showing up. The art direction is done by Charlie. The vision boards are sent to us. We all pull together, end up in one location, and do it on everything. I could sit there and film Lisa doing an amazing set, you know, and I get it on film. Or I would hear and watch, you know, Charlie remove the wig and just turn it around, or cuts around with it a different way. So you get all of these different points of view from everybody. It's exciting. One of the things I did, and that was a true win, because we did get, And the other ones were just, you never know what you're going to do. To be nominated, that's the biggest honor. You know, I'm fortunate enough that I have been on the Naha committee to understand, helping to, you know, kind of update some of them. So Naha is a North American Hairdresser Awards. It is called the Cadillac or the Oscars of the hairdressing industry. I'll never forget my first one. To be honest, I told Philip Wilson, I said, let's go to this dinner. They had a dinner at that time. We went, and they sat us at a table with Sonia and Christopher Dove, Brian and Sandra Smith, George Alderetti, and Philip Wilson.
Well, there you go.
This is the best part. Both of those teams won. Both did. You know, husband and wife teams. And I'm like, what? that just lit a fire under me because
Yeah.
I was so close to it. I was right there at their table. And so it's been ongoing ever since then.
Yeah.
And I continue to go and continue to support PBA because it's so important and everything that they do for us. Litigation, shows, support in our industry, scholarship programs,
Yeah.
insurance for hairdressers.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
And I think that a lot of the young audience doesn't know about PBA or does not know about Naha, which is it's something that we all have to tell them about. You know, speaking of Naha, I was Naha. I didn't win, but I was nominated.
Well, you won there.
I did, but I didn't know because it was in 1995. That's what 2 entries. I mean, 2,000 entries or
They didn't even
200.
They didn't have like the technology of AI or
Nothing.
Photoshop. Or,
Yeah,
we didn't
nothing.
see it.
No, it
either
was all film.
cross-processed or normal.
Mhm. Yeah,
It was so bizarre.
right. But we learn so much, and that's the beauty about it. You continue to learn and become a learner, and it's. I didn't know what I was doing. I was nominated for a hair color as that, but you know, I had a good photographer, and
That was
and
key.
that made me want to know about photography.
Yeah.
Back then we were doing film work, and now we're doing digital, and we're doing this
much.
podcast. We have grown so much. It is what it is. But I was one of the founding board members for TSA, which is now PBA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's-
we go
that's a
way
memory
back.
from
I go
way
way
back.
back. So,
Because
Yeah.
I remember going to Long Beach Hair Show and competing, and Andre was a big influence to me because he read all my scores to me and explained how I needed to compete, and I was getting top 3, top 5, and all because you go Pasadena, Long Beach, San Diego, you know, you do that.
Yeah.
And he gave me some really good insight, and I take everything that I just suck it all
Yeah.
as much as I can. I'm always listening, even though you don't think I'm listening.
Yeah.
And it may not be to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe over here behind me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You
you're
never know.
listening.
Conversation
Little
around
sponge.
to you too.
Yeah.
So PBA is very important for them to understand. They should get online and look it up, Pro Beauty Association, and just see and start reading through it and learning. And once you do that, you'll have a better understanding. And then join, be a member.
Yeah.
Being a member helps to support our community, and that's really important. Not just us, but everyone.
Everyone. Yes, definitely.
This is off the subject, but I remember many, many, many years ago at Intercoif, and I believe at that time Don Shaw was the artistic director. And the best presentation that I've ever seen was he brought out 3 what we would call avant-garde competition models. And he said, so we do this work to inspire and motivate the industry. But there's a certain segment of the industry that really pays attention to this. But what everybody wants to know is, what are we doing in the salon next season to increase revenues, to motivate the staff, whatever. And then he goes, this is what people miss. And he had 3 avant-garde models. And he said, I want you to really look at these models and say, what does this say to you? And then he brought out 3 very commercial models. And he said, when I see her, I say, bangs are what's happening. When I see her, I see the bang is different because of A. And he said B. And he's, whenever we're looking at creative work, we must say, how do we interpret it? And I thought, I mean, why don't people,
It's couture.
why are people
Some part of
talking
the
like that
industry,
anymore?
couture.
It's not
Couture
just there to be in a museum. It's there to,
It's
you
like
know.
fashion. It's just, it trickles down in through mainstream. And the same thing goes, I think, in our industry, as we might see something. I used ball caps, not this shoot, the last shoot, for a collection that we called Future Perfect. And I wanted an AI feeling, but I didn't. But I learned at Sharon's class some classical, good fundamentals to set the hair. So we did this futuristic look, but with classic. And so when you looked at it, it was like, is that AI or is not?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So yeah, you provoke thought, you want to inspire. Maybe somebody will, see that and go, "Ooh, I want to try that."
Yeah. And I think it's so important because we want to provoke thought in our students and in our employees, but shouldn't we be provoking thought in our clients? When they sit in our chair, should we be listening to them? But then should we not also say, can I make one suggestion to make your hair a little more current? It doesn't need to be blah, but that one little thing. You know how when somebody gets something new, you buy that new pair of shoes or that new, whatever. That's how you want your clients to feel when they walk
would be
out
walking
the door.
in the door. Think about it. I was late 40s, almost 50, and I left California, dropped everything, and moved to Tennessee and start completely over again. And what Frank told me and guaranteed, he goes, I guarantee you this amount of money by the end of the year. And he goes, you just continue to do what you're doing, focus, and just dig deep, and you'll be there. And I went through what everybody else went through. I, got messed up. I had an hourly, and I did everything that I could. But it taught me humility. It taught me that I'm not the only voice there. To listen to the client and to study what they're looking at and swiping on the phone or digital, whatever. But it taught me a lot of skill sets that I was kind of brushing off and leaving alone. I was using the line like, well, I'm the expert, I'll tell you what to do. And no, that doesn't work because when somebody comes to you in your chair, that's a huge moment for them. Anticipation, learning who this person is that's standing over me, talking to somebody in a mirror, turn them around, talk to them, all these little things that happen. But the client, when they can turn around and look at you and say, thank you, I love it. There's no better appreciation than that.
Right. Right.
I listen to a lot of different podcasts, and one of the podcasts I listened to recently was, what's his name?
Gordon Miller.
Yes,
Sure.
Gordon. I know
Okay.
Gordon.
So, he's not a hairdresser, but he has a podcast and he's worked for many different manufacturers. Anyway, he said he talked to Leo Passage when he was working with Pivot Point. And at the time, Leo was doing a lot of, competitions.
It's amazing that he got to work with him.
And he said, so he goes to Leo and he tells Leo that, doing competition work was old. It's not the way it should be. Why don't you try something different? And Leo sat him down and told him, and I just summed this up. What I got out of it is that what competition gives you is you, the person, the educator, you have to compete. You have to do it in 20 minutes. So it shows you the skill set. It also shows you how to work as a team. So all these things that competition gives you,
Preparation
for you to be in the salon. So you're competing.
Station, even in beauty school, I had the Solano red and black, and then I had the canisters, and I painted them red and black, and clips matched, and the cape was nice. I was already starting to brand myself and didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Right.
In beauty school.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
That's how you have to be when you're, if you're a platform artist, you better be organized, and your trait better be set right. Or,
You're right.
You could have a mishap.
Yeah.
Well,
Happy mistake, but a good. So preparation, I think, is key, and that's, I think, one of the most important things that you're going to get out of it. Because preparing and being ahead, one step ahead, you can pivot in a moment.
Yeah.
You have more options than just one.
That's the key, because I think we've all worked with top designers, and that thing happens where the good model doesn't show up, but her replacement who has 3 hairs does, or there's 4 show trunks, but the one that has the stuff you really need doesn't make it. And what I find is the better the designer, the less it rattles them, because they have a big toolbox of skill, and they just go, well, we could do this, and we'll make it work. And because they have that base, it's not that they got it for this show. They've been building it all their lives. And, that's why it's so fun to work with people who love this business and are committed, passionate.
And it's really time for us that have been established and been given so much opportunity to start to be the resource for the new generation of hairdressers. So it's important. I know that we had to go through COVID, and some of these kids in beauty school never even worked on a person. And that skill set is needed for what we do. Never even did a real process on somebody, but they did it on mannequins, so they don't really know or are sure of what they're doing, and you can see it and feel it, and you have to just reassure them that they're going in the right direction.
Right.
You know, I've bled so many hairs, over bleached it. I've gone too dark, no gray cover. I've done it all, and all those experiences, I'm glad I happened to have them because it taught me one thing, and that's be ready.
Be ready and move forward.
And just know in your heart that if you know your fundamentals, you're going to go.
Right.
So, George,
Yes.
hair trends evolve constantly. So can you tell me what's the biggest shift that you see that's happening now?
Yeah. I think Vivids came into the market and just hit us like gangbusters.
Okay.
And some of us weren't prepared for it because we didn't do that kind of work.
Right.
Right? So I had an opportunity we were launching a Vivid with Kuhn, and so they tasked me with doing some mannequins for a Salesforce Vivids, and they wanted me to mimic the poster. It was just horizontal placement, but it was the most difficult blend to create horizontally on a purple, a orange, a yellow, you know? It's just different. It's a different approach, a different feeling. And so you learn when you're doing that Vivids. I think you can learn a lot. Not for everybody, but there is a small percentage. They're not in the forefront, I think. I think our traditional and classic lightning and all of that chemical services is still always going to be strong. But there is a little niche in there that if somebody wants to do it, let them explore it because they can have a very successful clientele. So
Different one,
I think that's one thing. I think texture has changed and evolved. I just did it in the last collection of Dreamsicle. Lisa was with me. We teamed up and we did texture. And I did just colors that were just going to be with texture. So soft, nothing really directional, but just here and there. And we got a beautiful collection. But she taught me so much. You know, she said, okay, you're going to put an iron to that, right? I go, yeah, I'm going to start it right now. No, you're not. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, follow me. I walk with her. She pulls out this bag of perm rods. I haven't done a perm or rolled a perm in years.
Now you're in our wheelhouse. Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh my God, my brother did the perming in our salon.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And she goes, no, you're going to do this because, and then she gave me the why. Because in my head, I was already going, yeah, but this is, I was going to do it like that. I know what I'm doing. You know, you start to do that. So I said, okay. And she did a couple for me. And then I just did it. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. But what was important was the ironing set wasn't going to hold.
Right.
On set. And then with the lighting, it would have dropped. It wouldn't have had that resilience, perming it in a set.
Right.
And so that beautiful texture just came out and started, we could push it, pull it, do whatever you want to it, and it was still going to stay there.
With Sue and I, our background is permanent wave.
They're coming back, people.
We started in 1980s. Working
This is a cap.
70 something. Yeah.
I was pulling through a cap and using basic white. The big tub, the blue and white necking.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah.
So what keeps you pushing forward in this industry?
These opportunities right now. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because it allows me to give my insight to a platform that you're going to reach many people. Somebody will see us having this conversation that is running on fear and doesn't want to take that risk. Maybe they'll see it and feel, maybe I should try it. Maybe, or maybe I'll DM him.
Right.
Do that.
Yeah.
And that's important to me too.
Yeah.
Because you're just a phone call away or just a DM away, And I will say this to the elders. If someone DMs you and they're asking you a question, be really patient and answer it. Really take a lot of thought of it because that person had to muster up the courage to ask you. And so you have to really be insightful of that and be just caring about it and understand that this took a lot for them. So I'm going to make sure to oblige them with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's important.
When Sue and I started this podcast, we started it because we wanted not only our friends, but people in the industry to moving forward. to understand what they've done in the past, what they're doing now, and what they're going to do in the future. So we wanted to bring all this to the new people and also the old people so they could enjoy it. So,
And I'm not saying young, I'm just saying new generation.
yeah, exactly.
Because
Exactly.
there's some people coming into our industry that are in their late 30s, early 50s, and you start and they go into, the beauty industry. So it's not an age thing. It's it's like a new generation coming in.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not only do we want to give this platform to the top people in our industry who have stories to share, but what we've really found out is that the audience, because we don't get all beauty industry people, we have a lot of different listeners. And people really like to know about the people because honestly, I mean, this is my opinion. If you want to know a great restaurant to go to, ask a hairdresser. You want to know the best place to shop for shoes. You talk to a hairdresser, they know because they're talking to clients all the time that are going places and doing things. So we invented this little thing and it turned out our audience loves this. You may not, but our audience does. We like to do this quick fire thing where we just ask a random quick question and we just ask you to share what comes to your mind so we can let people see a little bit about George and not just George the educator and the colorist.
I'm pretty true to form. Anytime people meet me, they're like, you're so down to earth. I'm like, well, yeah.
So first question, what's your happy place?
My home, my pets, my partner. The accomplishments are in this home. It can be a sofa, it could be a television, but I've accomplished, and when I look around in my home, I'm happy because I've moved forward in my life.
That's
I'm
great.
choked up because it's huge for me.
Okay, rhetorical question, what kind of pets?
I have 2 baby boys. You can see
Okay.
They're both designer dogs. They're called, yeah, I know. They're called teddy bears. So they're
yes, yeah,
Shih Tzu and a Bichon.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so
And they're this big.
one of them is. The other one's a little larger. Same size. But I really learned from the other one that I had to find the mom and pop that were first generation.
Yeah.
So I did, and I have 2 of them. Orbit is 3, and Tucker is 7.
Love it. Love it. Okay, that was only one question. Second question. Who's on your playlist?
Oh, right now? Well, let me see. Dua Lipa, for one. Dua Lipa is perfect. Charlie XCX, lover. Chaperone, what's his name? Teddy Smith?
Yes. Teddy Swim. Teddy Swim.
Swim?
Swim. Teddy
Yeah.
Swim.
Teddy.
Love him.
Love
him.
Michael Bublé. It's just any and everything. I think it's because I'm always looking for music. I don't know it. I'm like, well, maybe there's that. I see what I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Then later on, I hear, oh, that's a big so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, I like the song. I had no idea I was on trend.
Yeah, there you go. You just made it be a trend.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book that you recommend to people?
You're going to laugh. It's called The Mentorship Guide, and there's a second edition.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorites because I can relate to what I'm reading, and I'm dyslexic. So to pay attention and to read was very difficult. I didn't understand this until I was an adult. So I read a book that I know excites me, and I want to do it, look through it. And I like that because it always ignites something in me that maybe I didn't see. I know it's silly, but it's a guide that I hold close, and a special team of people gave it to me. So I just look at it and I recommend it all the time. Other books, I'll be honest, I do audio.
Sure. Yeah.
Women and the iconic women that are in their 70s that are doing amazing things in their career.
Right.
They can have that stamina. I want to know what their secret is so I can.
Right. Exactly.
And you ask me, what's my 5-year plan? I'll have one because I'm still going to be here.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have a favorite motto or quote that you use often?
Favorite model?
Motto.
Oh, motto. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
New day, new goal.
Yeah. Good one.
New days, new goal. Because we were in Naha for that last year, and one of the teammate members was with me, and the nominations go up, and she's holding my hand, and the winner is not us. So on the way out, she's like, "Are you okay? How do you feel?" I go, new day, new goal.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Right.
What would I have improved on that?
Mm-hmm.
How would I do it differently? What were some of the failures in the preparation that maybe I shouldn't have the next time?
Mm-hmm.
And I never learned from my successes. I always learn from my failures.
Yeah, exactly.
I celebrate my failures because that's my learning moment.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Right.
succeed and you become successful at it, I think you just take it for granted. You're like, yeah, I got it. And you don't really stew in it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you fail at it, you develop how to get to the next thing.
Right. It kind of stokes the fire.
Oh,
Some
absolutely.
people, it puts it out, and some people, it just makes us more determined.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my mottos.
Okay. I think this is the hardest question we ask. What would you like your legacy to be, George?
I would say to give people what I've been given. I've traveled the world. I've worked in Fashion Week. I've done editorial. I've done movie sets, done that. I've done a lot in my career. So it was a gift, and I can't keep this gift. I have to pay it forward, and that will be my legacy.
Yeah.
And I would love somebody in the industry when I'm not around say, oh my gosh, I learned that. But you know who taught me that? Or you know who showed me that?
Yeah.
Then that's a legacy.
Yeah.
Because I still
Yes.
say it about Trevor,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Fidel,
Yeah.
Irvin, Rusk. I could go on.
Andre,
Andre? Yeah. I
to name a
it's
few.
just- and it's just, and the new generation should know our heritage in our industry.
Yeah.
Period.
Right. Right.
And those were some of the first questions I would ask a new stylist that was coming into my salon. Who's your favorite hairdresser? Who's your favorite magazine, fashion? All of that.
Yeah.
That was going to be our work.
Mm-hmm.
So, good question.
If I'm giving you a virtual hug because that's such a beautiful, beautiful answer.
Thank you.
That's, it really
It almost
truly
made me
was.
cry because I'm so sentimental.
Yeah.
I hide behind my glasses there.
I can't because I get all choked up. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Which leads me, but you've already answered this question anyway, but I'm going to ask it.
okay.
Okay. So if you could give one piece of advice to a new colorist, what would it be?
New colorist. Practice. Practice, practice, practice. Expect to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Continually do it the more you do it. I always say this to people that are starting. The first 30,000 are the most difficult. Because you don't realize over the years how many people you touched in that chair, in the thousands. And through all of that experience, at the very end, you look at it and like, wow, I'm good. But it took all of those people to get you there. So practice is important. Try everything in color. Do not be that person, and I'll tell you through my experience, that only uses the one brand and one brand only.
Exactly.
You may love the brand, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's nothing else out there for you. So joining Kuhn, I had to learn new stuff, and it ignited me like no other way. And I felt like now I could be more relative, and I wasn't becoming a platform artist.
Yeah.
Key. So I would say to them, go to everything and follow the people like you want to emulate. Go to that, look them up, look their names up. I did that too. And I would like, okay, this is Ginger Boy. Oh, I want to know who that is. You know, I want to know and seek them out. And you'll be pleasantly surprised that we will stop, take time, ask you who you are, and answer your question.
So
That's
George,
our responsibility.
yeah. So where can they find you?
On Insta, they could find me on George Alderetti Hair or George Alderetti Wigs. I have a website. And it's georgealderetti.com. And on YouTube, you can find me there with just some techniques that we did for digital work that we did during COVID. So those are all up there too. So they can always find me there. And just feel free to DM me. If you listen to this and are interested, you want to say, hey, go ahead. Because this gentleman behind me always keeps me on task. He's my admin person. So he's
Hey, you always
Literally.
need somebody to
That
keep you
is.
on
Yeah.
task.
Yeah. I have Lulu.
yeah.
Yeah, oh,
You
right.
have to.
Right,
Well,
right.
you're a dynamic duo. You really
I'm
are.
very detailed, but whatever.
Yeah.
I try to be.
Well, George, it has been a pleasure,
Oh,
talking to you, learning so much from you. And on behalf on my co-host and I, we want to thank you for coming on and sharing with the audience what you shared. And we're going to call you back again. And now you know how to get on.
Now I know how to get on. It only took us 2 days. Just kidding. No, thank you. And Sue, thank you
Yeah.
for this opportunity.
Happy trails. We'll see you down the road, my friend.
I will. I hope I get to see you. Will you be in Naha?
Maybe we might. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you do, I might have some tickets there for you.
Cool.
Wow, what an episode. That wraps up another exciting edition of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're leaving inspired and ready to chase your dreams. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode over at youtube.com/artists, icons, entrepreneurs, as well as Facebook at Lulu Benavidez, on IG at Lulu Benavidez, at Evolve Hair Solutions as well. And don't forget to visit our website at lulubenavidez.com and evolvehairsolutions.com to stay updated. Until next time, keep dreaming big, creating boldly, and making your mark on the world. Thanks for listening, and take care, everyone.